A woman riding a motorcycle accidentally falls into a ditch. Both she and the bike are trapped in a muddy bottom. The situation is critical. She struggles and cries for help. Just then, a white van happens to pass by. Upon hearing the cries, the driver doesn't hesitate for a second. He immediately pulls the van over to the roadside. He opens the door and quickly approaches the ditch. Another woman inside the ditch urgently pleads for his assistance. "Sir, could you please help? Help me get her up." Seeing this, the driver bends down and enters the ditch without hesitation. He sees the woman lying limp on the ground after the fall, dazed and disoriented. She's completely dizzy and confused, unable to get up on her own. Her consciousness is very blurry. He quickly coordinates with another helpful woman at the scene. Their movements are gentle and steady, careful not to use too much force. They slowly help the injured woman up from the ground. Seeing the woman remains groggy and in poor mental state, they are filled with concern, softly calling to her and patiently comforting her, gently urging her to slowly come to her senses, while carefully checking her forehead and limbs for any bumps or injuries. They also monitor her expression and physical reactions, closely observing for signs of dizziness, nausea, or general discomfort. The entire process is patient, meticulous, and gentle. The ditch walls are slippery and steep. For one person alone to pull the injured woman up from the bottom would be extremely difficult. The kind driver immediately thinks of a relay rescue method. He first instructs the other woman in the ditch to find a protruding rock for leverage, to climb up to the road first, using both hands and feet to prepare for the relay. The woman on the road finds a secure spot to stand firm. She tightly grips the injured woman's hands, leaning back slightly, firmly stabilizing her own center of gravity. Meanwhile, the driver remains below in the ditch, carefully supporting the injured woman's waist and legs with his arms, keeping her body as level and stable as possible. One above, one below. They form a lifeline connecting the ditch bottom to the road. Through their joint effort, they successfully pull the injured woman to the safety of the road. But the rescue isn't over. The woman quickly runs to the van, swiftly retrieves a sturdy rope from inside. She hurries back to the ditch edge and slowly lowers one end to the driver below. The driver then securely fastens the rope to the rear of the van, preparing for the next phase of the rescue. This emergency rescue was filled with warmth and strength. Every action conveyed selfless kindness and positive energy. The driver did not care to wipe the mud and sweat on his body. Reaches out to firmly grasp the rope, clutching it tightly with both hands, ultimately relying on steady movements and the rope support. He made it to the road. After successfully climbing onto the road, covered in mud, he was completely unconcerned about himself. His mind was solely on the injured woman's condition. He hurried to her side immediately, and together with his helpful companion, they carefully and gently helped the injured woman to her feet. They stood protectively on either side of her, constantly monitoring her state. They were careful not to let her get hurt again. They carefully helped her bend down to sit, and settled her securely into the car's spacious, comfortable seat. They thoughtfully let her lean back to rest comfortably. She took a moment to recover from the dizziness and panic. After the fall, the physical discomfort and exhaustion, their care gave her enough comfort and warmth. After properly settling the injured woman in the car to rest, the two men focused on rescuing the motorcycle from the ditch. Once everything was ready, the driver slowly started the car, maintaining a steady speed as he gently pulled backwards. The helpful woman on the road also stood by, keeping watch. She kept a close eye on the car's movement and the rope and motorcycle, monitoring their status. The ditch slope was steep and slippery, the motorcycle heavy, and stuck in the low part of the ditch, making the initial pull particularly difficult. The car slowly and steadily pulled back, the rope taut. The motorcycle slowly inched up the muddy ditch wall. It slid upwards bit by bit, occasionally shifting or getting stuck midway. The men promptly adjusted the angle, patiently changing the pulling direction. They were patient, not rushing or forcing it. The slope was steep and slippery. The motorcycle was heavy and cumbersome, stuck in the muddy ditch bottom, making it very hard to get leverage. Instead of hastily dragging it with the car, they decided to join forces and help manually pull the motorcycle up from the ditch. They stood in a safe spot by the roadside, both gripping the rope tied to the bike tightly, feet planted firmly, bracing themselves, leaning back. Working together, they stabilized their strength. One pulled back with force. The other controlled the direction, steadied the rope, coordinating perfectly. In sync, through patience and united effort, they finally pulled the motorcycle that had plunged into the deep ditch safely onto the road by hand, parking it in a secure spot by the roadside. Stepping up in a crisis, they warmly rescued a person and strenuously saved a vehicle. They toiled without seeking reward. Ordinary people, with simple actions, demonstrated the beautiful virtue of helping others, full of positive energy, warming hearts. After securing the motorcycle, the two men didn't delay for a moment. They were still concerned about the injured woman's condition in the car. They immediately started the car and sped off, escorting her to the hospital for a full checkup and professional treatment, racing against time to get the injured person medical care. They provided warm, protective care throughout, never leaving her side. With sincere goodwill and a sense of responsibility, they created a warm, clear sky for those in peril, showcasing the most beautiful human warmth and great love. by a steep slope in a mountain forest. A rescue fraught with twists and a dispute quietly unfolded. A silver car's arrival broke the mountain road's tranquility and began a story of goodwill, accident, and conflict. A person in black clothes struggled to call for help below the slope. He was in a difficult spot on the steep, muddy slope mixed with red earth and weeds. Then a silver car approached. The man in white who got out stopped immediately upon seeing this and hearing the calls. The man in white didn't hesitate for a second. He immediately followed the man in black, who had just been pulled up to the road, and went back down the slope. The hillside was covered in red earth and weeds, muddy and slippery, requiring extreme caution with every step. The two men trudged down, step by step, to the unconscious man in black. The man in white first tried calling out a few times. Seeing no response, he crouched down to check. He concluded the man had been knocked unconscious by the fall. He stopped, panting, his face full of anxiety. The man in white wiped his brow. He said to the man in black beside him, "This won't work. He's too heavy. We need a plan." Just then, but the urgency to save the man overrode everything. He wanted a car. He quickly opened the rear door. The car was cluttered with items. His eyes searched urgently among them. Soon his gaze locked onto something in the pile of stuff. A coil of thick white rope. He grabbed the rope in his hand. The rope was somewhat rough, carrying the worm from inside the car. He had no time to sort it out. He just dragged the rope and ran back down the slope. The rope trailed behind him, leaving a mark on the ground. Every step reflected his desperate urgency to save the man. He took the thick rope handed down by the man in black on the slope. First, he pinched one end, wrapped around his palm twice, and gripped it tight. Then he bent down, threaded it under the unconscious man's armpits, and wound it around his back twice, gently tightening it with each loop. This ensured the rope wouldn't slip easily, while carefully avoiding vital areas like the neck. He was afraid of choking him. The moment the rope was secure, the man in black on the slope immediately tightened his grip on the rope end. He planted his feet firmly, leaned back slightly, and began pulling with all his might. The man in white below didn't dare slacken for a moment. He half-crouched, hoisted the unconscious man's arm over his shoulder, firmly supported his waist, and shouted, "Pull! Steady!" coordinating with the pulling force from above. Inching their way up the slope, step by arduous step, the slippery red soil kept sliding underfoot. The white-clad man's pant legs were splattered with mud. Each step required extra effort to maintain balance. Just as both men were working together and had pulled the unconscious man most of the way up, the black-clad man on the slope gave a sudden, forceful pull. The rope instantly went taut. The white-clad man's foot slipped, his balance lost. He and the unconscious man on his shoulder crashed heavily onto the slope. They tumbled together. The rope tied to the motorcycle was yanked violently, slamming the bike against a nearby rock, ignoring the pain from his fall in the mud. The white-clad man braced his elbow on the slick red earth and pushed himself up first. He glanced back at the still unconscious man. Quickly, he reached out to help the other man up from the mud. He carefully patted the mud off the man's back and neck. Confirming no new injuries, he took a deep breath. Bending his knees, he hoisted the man's arm over his shoulder. Then, with a surge of effort, he heaved the man onto his back. The muddy slope made his steps unsteady. He could only grip the man's legs tightly, leaning forward, hand outstretched. His fingers curled slightly, the movement extremely gentle. He patted the man's cheek lightly, one tap after another. It was less a slap, more a tentative attempt to rouse him, afraid a heavier touch might disturb the unconscious man. After a few pats brought no response, he leaned close to the man's ear. He whispered urgently, "Wake up, hold on, we'll get you up in a moment." After whispering, he resumed the gentle patting, his gaze fixed intently on the man's eyelids, hoping for even the slightest flicker of movement. In the midst of this gentle patting, the unconscious man's eyelashes suddenly fluttered faintly. The white-clad man stopped immediately, holding his breath, leaning closer. He whispered again, "Are you awake? Can you hear me?" Slowly, the man's eyes opened, his gaze still unfocused. He looked around, dazed. A faint groan escaped his throat. Seeing this, the black-clad man exclaimed excitedly, "He's awake! He's awake! Come on, let's give it our all, and get him up." They hadn't gone 2 steps when the revived man's body swayed slightly. The black-clad man quickly halted. He adjusted the position of his arms, pulling the man closer against his chest to ensure he was stable. Only then did he resume moving. The roots and gravel on the slope dug painfully into his feet. His pant legs were long soaked through, heavy and clinging to his calves. Sweat streamed down his temples, dripping onto the red soil, instantly darkening a small patch of earth. He focused on the path just ahead, inching forward bit by bit. First check if the ground under your feet is solid. Finally, his toes touched a flat, solid road surface. The man in black finally let his tightly tensed body relax. He carefully helped the woman to the grass by the road. After setting her down gently, he collapsed beside her, his chest heaving violently. Sweat from his forehead trickled down his cheeks, dropping onto his mud-stained garment. After settling the unconscious woman, the man in white turned around to look down the slope. That motorcycle was still lying crooked in the mud. There was a noticeable scratch at the joint between the handlebar and the frame, until the rope end was safely secured next to the motorcycle. This accident on the yellow dirt slope brought strangers together. Some bent over to help, their shirts soaked through with sweat. Some stopped to lend a hand, asking for nothing in return. The rope ties the motorcycle, but it also ties our hearts together. These helping figures are the warmest scenery in this world. This scenery has no deliberate rehearsal, no fancy embellishment, only the truest kindness flowing freely. It tells us kindness is never a choice, but an instinct carved into our bones. It tells us even a small act of help is enough to give someone the courage to keep moving forward. When more and more people are willing to act on this instinct, when helping hands appear in every corner where they are needed, we will find that warmth has never been absent, and love has always been right beside us. It turns into charcoal in the dead of winter, chasing away the biting cold. It turns into a cool breeze in the heat of summer, calming the restlessness in our hearts. It turns into starlight in the dark night, guiding lost people to find their way. Those mud-stained hems, those sweat-soaked backs, those hands that pass warmth along, are all the most touching protagonists in the scenery. It knows no age, no occupation, no region. As long as someone is willing to reach out a helping hand, another person will get to feel the kindness of this world. Look at that man in black bending over to hold the unconscious woman. His trouser cuffs are covered in red mud as he gently lifts her. Yet he keeps saying he's fine the whole time. Look at that car owner who voluntarily stopped to help. He doesn't ask for a single word of thanks. He just steadily controls his speed when the rope tenses up, afraid that jolts will damage the motorcycle down slope. Look at that passerby standing by to help hold the handlebar. His face is splattered with mud, yet he smiles brighter than the sun. This kindness won't just end after one act of help. It's like a seed that takes root and sprouts in the heart of the person who received help. One day, it will grow into a towering tree to shelter more people in need from the wind and rain. Maybe the woman helped today will help an elderly person with groceries tomorrow. Maybe the driver whose car was pushed today will hold an umbrella for a stranger on a rainy night next time. Kindness is never a one-way street. It's a mutual journey, a continuous cycle of giving and receiving. It doesn't need grand gestures or loud fanfare. Yet, in every ordinary moment, it quietly warms the world. In a cup of hot water from a stranger, in a helping hand during hardship, in every sincere, "let me help you," we say life is worth living, precisely because of these unexpected moments of warmth.